Good day everyone, welcome to Young's Car Studio. Today I'm going to review 2014 Porsche Macan S Diesel. I know some car enthusiasts have mixed feeling about Porsche SUVs, but I must admit this is the best seller for Porsche brand, since it was initially on sale in 2014. To be honest, the SUV models including Cayenne, which actually saved Porsche brand. That's the reason why they can still make new amazing 911 and Cayman for hardcore drivers. Okay, let's dive into detail of this car. Okay, let's first talk about the front feature of the Porsche Macan. As you guys can see, it's unmistakably a Porsche product. It has the typical Porsche bug-eye design. And also, you can see the front grille is quite massive. It can give really cool air to the engine bay. But surprisingly, the side vents are fake. I think they are more reserved for the high power models. And this one has optional headline wash, this black plastic. Let's go to the side to see the side profile. It's actually kind of as you can see here, it's a coupe SUV trend. And the roof line goes down and it has the sloping profile. Gives it a more sexy and good looking. Compared with other SUVs, it definitely looks more stylish. And on the fender, you can see the diesel badge here. Okay, let's talk about the wheels. Okay, this one has a 19-inch optional wheels. It looks pretty good, but as you can see, the central cap is a white one, so it doesn't have the optional color central cap. The front wheel is 235/55 R19. The brake is 6-piston fixed caliper with 3 50mm vented disc. The rear wheel is 255. It's actually 20mm wider than the front rears, because it has the rear wheel biased all-wheel drive system. The rear wheel is 255/50 R19-inch, and the brake is just a single piston floating caliper with 3 30mm vented discs. Okay, let's go to the rear to look at the rear end. I think the rear end is quite also really attractive looking angle. As you can see, it has the 3D effects tail lights and it's all LEDs. And the turn signal is kind of really slimline. It looks quite attractive. And the exhaust tips. In this model, because it's a Macan S, it has a cool chrome tipped exhaust. But because it's a diesel engine, it does not sound as good as those V6 petrols. Okay, talk about the engine. Let's go to the engine bay to see how the engine looks. This engine is a 3.0-liter V6 turbo diesel, so it has 255 horsepower, 580 Nm of torque. So it revs about 4,000 RPM, so it's not a rev-happy engine, but it has lots of torque to play with. Okay, let's shut the engine bay. As you can see, it has a sports car-like bonnet.
It has a clamshell and it has a headline cut here.
Okay, now let's take at the interior of this car. Because this car doesn't have the keyless entry and go function, so you need the car key to unlock this car. So the key is quite interesting. It has this kind of car shape, so it mimics the Porsche 911, like really classic design. Okay, let's unlock this car. Okay, when you first step into this interior, you can see lots of black plastic on the dashboard and also on the panels. There are some piano black plastic stuff, but they are all soft touch plastic on the dashboard. It feels pretty good. I think the main reason why there are so many plastic here is because when it's back in 2014, this car was actually the base model. There wasn't a 2.0 turbo petrol engine version, so this is the base model, so it has a quite plain interior. And also another reason is that Porsche, typical Porsche fashion, you needed lots of option boxes to get the leather wrapped dashboard, wood rims. So I think that's quite expensive options. This one basically has no options for the interior material. As you can see here, it has the perforated leather seats. The leather steering wheel, it was quite high quality leathers. When you touch them, you feel the premium luxury feeling of this car. For the seats, it's quite comfortable. It has quite aggressive bolsters. You can see on the both sides, it can hug you pretty well when you drive aggressively. And also this car has a 14-way adjusted power seats. That's an option, I think. Also, you can see on the door panels here, it has 3 Persian memory function. And also the steering wheel is electronically tilt and telescope adjusted. It's linked with the 3 Persian memory functions as well. Okay, now let's talk about the clusters. So the cluster design is actually quite similar to the Porsche 911. The 911 had the 5 bubbles, but here it only has 3. At the left-hand side, you can see the speedometers, and it has 280 kilometers per hour, but I think it only can go 230 or 40. And in the middle, it's a tachometer. As you can see, the red line is about 5,500 RPM. So it's a diesel, so it can't drive so high. And at the right-hand side, you can see a round multifunctional colorful display. So currently it displays vehicle information such as coolant temperature, engine oil temperature, and also the engine oil pressure. When you scroll down this button, it can control this display here. Now it's audio, radio information here, and the phone book. Also, it has the onboard navigation system. It can actually display here. That's quite a useful function. And that's a navigation, and also the trip computer. This car also has the all-wheel drive system. It can display the torque split for the front and rear wheels. Yeah, it's a pretty good and traditional classic Porsche design clusters. Also in the middle it has the digital speed here, and it got the odometers under the speedometer here. Okay, now let's talk about the central stacks. This one has a really old 7-inch touchscreen head unit. Has all the basic functions, the radio, media, the phone buttons, navigation, and the map. And you have the volume knob here and tuning knob here, some car functions. And sometimes it's not that snappy, it's really slow to respond. But for the new models, they have a 12-inch touch display and has Apple CarPlay function, so that's quite a good unit. And okay, lots of buttons here. And it's a traditional console shifter. It controls the 7-speed door clutch PDK. So it's quite a good to use one, nothing to complain. Lots of buttons here, so it might not be everybody's cup of tea, but some people like it, some people might not, you can say, but it's quite a reasonably layout. Of the climate controls button here,
And here is driving mode, the suspension setup, the ESP control, and off mode, auto start function off button here. For the guys who are new to the Porsche brand, so it's definitely some learning curve here. You need some time to get used to this setup. But when you get used to it, it's really easy to use. For some new cars, the manufacturers tend to put everything in the touchscreen, even the climate controls, so you find it not that easy to use when you are driving, but for this setup, it's no problem. Now, let's talk about the interior storage. For SUVs, it's not too bad. It's quite average, I think, for the segment. You can see you have two big cup holders and some adapters for different size cups. And it has a decent door bins, also with cup holders there. The glove box is quite a decent size. You can put your menu there and some small pieces there. Quite a good size. And also the central armrest. So it's a little bit shallow, but you can put something there. It's not quite big. I think they can give us more interior, like in the space in the city console. That should be fine. A problem with this storage area, I find, is it doesn't have a curvy like here somewhere you can put your phones in. I end up always put my phone in the cup holder. That's quite an annoying factor here. Okay, on the driver's side, you can see some controls here for the side mirrors. And also that's one-touch automatic windows for all four windows. Also the trunk release button here. Yeah, and the door lock and unlock. Now let's go to the second row to see how the second row looks like. For the second row, actually the leg room is pretty good. I think I am just 6 feet, so it's quite you have one face the kind of legroom is quite generous, I think, for a small SUV. Headroom, you can see, is a little bit tight. So for the folks who are over 6 feet, it's gonna struggle a little bit. For the longer trips, it's not that comfortable. And also you have the air vents and the climate control here. Quite good amenities. And also our volt socket here. You have a fold-down armrest with two big cup holders. Yeah, that's it. Okay, let's say what's the trunk space. So it's kind of an interesting feature. The trunk release button is actually under the windscreen wiper of the rear hatch. The trunk capacity of the Porsche Macan is around 450 liters, which is a couple of liters behind its main competitors, but you can fit like 2 larger suitcases without any problems. So it's okay, I think, for most of the drivers. Okay, now let's turn on the car and take this baby on road to see how it performs. First, when you sit into this car, you can get a really sporty atmosphere of this interior. It's mainly because the dashboard design, smaller steering wheel, and also the seating position. You can adjust the seat to a really low position, so you feel more like sit into this car rather than sit on this car, like which mostly for other SUVs. So you can get a really sporty feel of this car. All of this helps with the sporty feel. And also, the forward visibility is pretty good. It has a really wide windscreen, big side mirrors, and also pretty thin A-pillar, so you can see through the forward quite easily. But the rearward visibility is a different story. The rear window is really flat and narrow, so it really limits the rear wheel visibility. But this car has a reversing camera and parking sensors, so you shouldn't have any problem to park and reverse this car. Now let's talk about the ride quality. The ride quality of this car is pretty good. So if you are familiar with any German cars, so it has the typical German sophisticated suspension and the chassis feeling. So this car also has the adaptive suspension system. Okay, when you're in the comfort mode, so this car has a really compliant and comfy ride. So it will filter most of the bumps on the road. And also you feel isolated from the outside world. You can enjoy a really comfy and compliant ride of this car. But when you put this car into the Sport or Sport Plus for the suspension, so the suspension become a little bit firm and harsh. You can feel all the imperfections of the road surface. But at the same time, you get more feedbacks from the road as well. You can really feel the potential and the balance of this suspension and the chassis of this car. I think Porsche has done a really good job to make the chassis of this car perfect. Okay, this car also has different driving mode. When you put this car into sport mode, you can feel the whole car becoming more aggressive and the throttle response becoming a little bit sharper as well. Also the steering wheel, it's becoming a little bit more weighted, and also you can get more feedback from the steering wheel. Okay, when you put your foot on the throttle pedal, you can really feel the potent power and punchy power of this car. With its 255 horsepower, this car can do 0 to 100 km/h in 6.3 seconds, according to Porsche. But if you have the optional Sports Chrono package, so this car will do 0 to 100 in just 6.1 seconds. Considering the weight of this car is a nearly 2-ton SUV, so the acceleration and straight line performance are actually quite impressive. But this car is not all about straight line performance like other Porsches. So if you put this car into sport mode, the suspension into Sport Plus, so you can really feel the well-balanced chassis of this car. And you can get a really rewarding and pleasure driving experience from this car. I think Porsche really do a good job to make this car handling better than its main rivals, such as the Mercedes GLC and the Audi Q5. And another bonus point of this car is the transmission. This car has Porsche's famous PDK 7-speed dual-clutch transmission. So it also have the manual mode. When you want to shift the car yourself, you can use the shift pedals on the steering wheel. But this transmission, once in the automatic mode, it has a really smooth shift. It's not like the Volkswagen Group's other 7-speed dual-clutch transmission. It will have a little bit jerky feel on the low speed, and on the high speed, this car shifts lightning quick. So it always puts you in the right gears when you shift the car. All in all, I think this car is the perfect package for sportiness and the comfort. Also, it has a really well-tuned suspension and a refined driving experience. So I think this car definitely lives up to Porsche's reputation for the driving and the comfort.
That's all the exterior, interior and driving experience about the 2014 Porsche Macan S Diesel. Thanks for watching. Hopefully you will love my first video. In the next video, I will talk about the pricing and cost information and why you should choose this one over its competitors. If you are interested, please like and subscribe. Thanks for watching. See you next time.